Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining our show. Basically, just Lucy and I talked as far as there's things that we both respectively have got in our past as far as working with businesses and helping them. And, we could do a lot of dry papers and things like that, at least the way I look at it as well. And I think Lucy agrees. But I was thinking it'd be good to do something, a bit more human, a bit more fun. We talk, share, and go over things that are affect businesses and things that we can do to help them and do it in a fun way where it's kind of like with people instead of just a boring white paper, which is so
Yeah,
boring and
and
sterile. Wouldn't you agree, Lucy?
Yeah, so many people are sending out these quick one-pager cheat sheets that I have to read. I don't know about you, Chris. I'm inundated every morning with 50, 60 emails, and I just can't get past all of these fantastic offers. I would just appreciate somebody saying, hey, the next 15 minutes, let's talk about the things that are really important, something that you can listen to, and then be done with it. And quite frankly, today in our world, we always multitask, and so sitting there and reading is not necessarily for me the most effective way. And I know some of my colleagues who are in business have the same way. So absolutely. So this is our answer to all of the other expert white papers.
There you go. And we hope this actually is better instead of worse. If it's worse, let us know. If it's better, let us know. And we're looking for it to be fun too, and educational as well. A little bit about me and a little bit about Lucy too as well. In the meantime, I've been running my own business for the last 14 years here in 2015. Help companies with technology and building databases and programs and websites and search engine optimization and marketing and things like that. And learned a lot over the years. And before that, I was a broker with A.G. Edwards for 5 years, stock bonds, mutual funds, annuities, learned a lot about investments and things like that. And before that, I was a TV news reporter for 5 years, which has helped me be more comfortable in things like this. So able to take a lot of those business things done in the past and the marketing and the journalism and radio, TV, film things and putting into my marketing, and also to help businesses and my business to do things, and also with the technology to help businesses be able to grow, flourish, and do things quicker, faster, stronger, and cheaper than ever before. And Lucy's a real titan in the marketing world, and especially helping companies with their management and larger and smaller managements, and she can attest a lot more in detail than I can.
Yeah, so our backgrounds are so complementary, right? So I come really from the corporate world. My background is Pricewaterhouse, doing my consulting, very large-scale strategies. At one point, I only consulted for the Fortune 50 companies. I've traveled over 2 million miles, and have just seen a lot of work. And what I do is I actually take problems and turn them into profits. I am a turnaround specialist. I've done a lot of them in Silicon Valley. One of them was nearly bankrupt at $5 million, and we had this great idea, and literally 12 months later, we sold it for nearly $100 million.
That's a great success story.
And so what I've done is actually taken this, and rather than doing it just for one company, I'm now helping businesses like yourself achieve that same thing. There is a formula to success, believe it or not. The word turnaround has such a terrible connotation out there, and I'm like, oh my God, there is 10x profit if you really know how to do it right. And I love helping businesses. And I think it's what the synergy that Chris and I have. We both have that technology background, but he comes at it at a more specialized level, where I'm coming at it from the strategic, having done that operational level.
Yeah, I mean, gee whiz, I should have mentioned some of my clients too, as far as things that we've done, like Kimberly-Clark, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, the U.S. Navy, and local bridal shop, and a lot of companies you hadn't heard of or anything like that. But, there truly is a formula for success. It's so cliche, but like anything, once you get it and you can use it, it makes things so much easier, quicker, faster, better, and less stressful, and more fun. And I think we both agree we're here to help unleash some of those secrets on our listening and viewing public.
Yeah, so Chris, I've got to ask you, you have, in your mastery, certainly in your business, outsourcing has been a conversation, a buzzword. It's really has been a popular option for many years, right? So how would you help us understand how to choose your outsourcing business, and why would we go do that?
Well, outsourcing is wonderful. I think entrepreneurs have got, well, at least speaking for myself, and like most of them I've known, I want to do it all. I want to do everything. I want to be everything, and I want to be everywhere, and I'm just a control freak. And ultimately, I can become a real stumbling block into growing my business. And you try to work 7 days a week and all day, and you can't do that, and that doesn't work well with the family. So ultimately, I found, to make a long story short, to be able to get stronger, I've had to give up and delegate and relinquish more. And ironically, the more I've done that, the more I've unempowered myself, the more I've empowered myself through the works of others. Well, one of the great things, though, with outsourcing, though, I can have people that are professionals that, arguably are as good as I am on what I do, or even better in some different things. So the beautiful thing with outsourcing is, say you've got some weaknesses. Well, you can pay somebody, and they can do it for you better than you can. And, like thinking in some marketing pieces I've got, like what's got 18 hands, 9 heads, and does more work than I can without even moving my hands. It's my worker bees that I've got. And it's wonderful. I can have people all over the world doing stuff for me at the click of a few keys on the keyboard, and they do a great job and they get it done. And I've got more time, more quality of life, and it's great. And, to get started with outsourcing, one of the first things you want to do is you want to define what you want to have done. Arguably, you want to have something really defined for what you want them to do. You don't want to have like a one person that does everything for you, because candidly, it's going to be really hard for you to replace yourself. So the way I look at it is you want to find someone who has a specialty in a niche that you're looking to have filled. And then if you have different niches that you have needs, get specific people that work within those niches. And then if you have a lot of needs in those, you may need multiple people within that, and that's okay. So there's a little bit as far as, why outsourcing, and a little bit about, how you can begin looking how to take your business and start outsourcing pieces of it, and arguably get to be even better than ever, and also lower your stress.
So if we were to get a little bit deeper into this conversation, and we say, but really, how does somebody get into this business? I mean, what might be some of the key steps? You talked about how you have to look at niches and things of this nature, but can you bring us a little bit more clarity in terms of what might be some of the key steps that we might look at?
Well, some of the key steps you might want to look at would be, what I like is working with some of the different online recruiting places to get those things done. Like you've got Odesk is one of the biggest ones, which love Odesk. There's Elance, done some things with Elance. There's also Craigslist, or you might know people around the block or across your city or all that. I really haven't never done anything with Craigslist and known about it. And I've had people work in town for me as well, too, or whatever. But I really like the online sites to, where you can put in your listing. You can have, I've had, 100 plus applicants, specifically say for like programming jobs that I've gotten just in a dozen hours. I've had like 150 that I've had available or whatever. And what I do on my job applications too, I make them really specific to what I want, which is a pain. I feel bad, but let's face it, you're trying to find the diamond in the rough, or the person that's the best fit. And the more you can have them disqualify themselves, the better, because that's frankly less work for you. And I still end up having a number of people that apply, but I expect quite a few of them are opting themselves out. So it's less work for me to be able to go through the pile as far as who to work with. So there's some different sites that you can work with, and that's part of how you can start your journey as far as finding the right person or persons for you. So basically, those are some of the steps you want to do to be able to find who's a great fit for you for outsourcing. And in the meantime, Lucy, you mentioned at the top of our show as far as some of the different things that you can do for businesses and take them higher, farther, and faster than ever before. And, tell me about some of the insights you found in all that.
Yeah, so one of the things that I've always found is really businesses have 4 tenets. But if you really follow through and really understand each one of those, that's really where you get the maximum, what I call the 10x factor. People talk about 10x, they never tell you how to go through that.
And I love these insights. We talked about these last week, and these just blew my mind because they just really get right to it. And I'll shut up and let you get to it, but I love this.
This is great. So the first one is called scalability. And really, scalability is really about 10x. And so, but when you think about scalability, you go, wow, well, where do I go begin? Well, actually, there's a few areas you can look at. One of them is within your industry. Sometimes, and Chris, I know that you do this, right? You go and you apply and you work with a particular industry and you go, gee, I'm in the healthcare industry, but the tech industry has that very similar problem, so I can go over and look at that. So suddenly, you're not adding staff, you're not necessarily adding any additional costs, maybe slightly. Well, all of a sudden, you've got this 10x explosion going on. Right? So that's the first tenet. The second tenet that's really misunderstood is called repeatability. A lot of people think I'm going to scale and I'm going to repeat it in order to just continue to make the money. Well, the quality, really repeatability is another word for quality and sustainability. And quite frankly, our conversation about outsourcing really dovetails nicely into that. Because if you go and it's kind of like the dog getting the hubcap when you've got the car. What do you do with it? If you do very poor quality to that particular company, then, gee, this is just something that isn't going to work for the long run. So you really have to look at that sustainability. The third part of this is really profitability. Now, this is highly misunderstood. Profitability, everybody thinks it's just about getting more revenue. Well, actually, there's a leaky bucket. You can actually get profits by simply going and looking at costs and how to reduce the costs that you have, maybe renegotiate contracts, things of this nature. And even that is a little bit misleading. When people say profitability, are they saying profitability or do you simply need more cash? So if you need more cash, then go look at the things such as your accounts receivable, your inventory, start cutting down some of the inventory, some of the things that you would find in a balance sheet, not necessarily in an income statement. So profitability would be the third tenet. And the fourth one is really competitiveness. Let me stop for a second and say competitiveness is all about continuous improvement. Because your competition is actually coming from three areas. One is the guy that you know next door. You're going to go to the same contract day over day, year over year, and he's going to be there, and you're really competing on price and service. The second type of competition is the new kid on the block. It's always going to be somebody coming into your niche. Something cooler, faster, because they're smaller, they're nimble, and they can afford to lose some profit on the deal. That's the third. And quite frankly, you are your own competitor. You got to look to see if there's something that you're doing that maybe worked last year, but you got a little bit better at it. So let's squeeze a little bit more, let's bring in more efficiency. Maybe let's get some cost out. Maybe let's pass those cost savings on to our customers in order to keep them for the brand loyalty. And so when we talked about this last week, it was really around those four areas that I say really if people want to go to 10x, these are the areas that I help businesses really expand.
And those are great key timeless points. I know I've had to change my business, or I've changed my business many times over in many different ways over the last 14 years, still doing the same core services and looking the same on the outside, but I've had to iterate within the inside to be able to sustain it and keep it going as things have changed, which has been very rewarding and been a lot of fun, but it's also been a real pain when it's not working so well or whatever. But to go to your point, I agree. These things, one thing I hate about it, once you find something, though, it's really got a shelf life. At least it feels for me. It's not going to last forever, but you run the horse as long as you can, but you got to keep your eye on the prize and the mark and keep evolving. Or if you keep trying to do the same business model like Boohoo, Polaroid, and Kodak, well, they're just not working out too much anymore. And Blockbuster, and they could have stayed around in my mind, the broker and me talking, but they just stayed doing the same thing, but the world passed them.
Which brings up an interesting point. I mean, in your experience, what can people do to boost their productivity and to simultaneously be reducing their cost today? I mean, I'd love to hear your insights into that conversation.
Well, I really appreciate the question, and it gets my head turned. And one of my favorite testimonials I ever got was from a lady with Kimberly-Clark. We put together a custom system for them, and I don't remember the exact words on the testimonial, but she mentioned that we took a system that 6 people would spend hours doing to something that one person could do at a click of a button, in like 30 minutes or less. And
really?
Yeah, they'd spend spend like many man-hour days doing this one process, and it didn't always get the right numbers or get exactly right. Whereas, what we built for them was able to just let them push a button in just a few minutes. It's got them the perfect results every time. So this speaks, perfectly to what you mentioned as far as profitability, scalability, repeatability, and things like that. And the way we did that was with a web-based system, which took data that they had in their database, which had been collected, and then we did different analysis on them for them to be able to find out some deep business facts and information that they needed to know to run their business. whereas they had kept track of that by hand or paper or different systems in the past, not as well. But now they're just able to hit a button and boom, there's the answer. So that's the way things are going today, increasingly. And so that's one example. And gosh, I remember a program that we built in 2000 for the U.S. Navy. They had 1,500 different questions, and if you answered number 20 yes, for instance, just randomly speaking, if you said yes, then you'd see questions 30 through 40. But if you said no, then you'd see questions 50 through 60 or whatever. It's all in a web format, so the user never knew any difference. But there's a way. Try doing that with paper. Well, you could say go down here or whatever, but it had a ton of other questions and stuff. But it kept it moving and quick, and all the information saved in the database, and they're able to do a lot of data analysis with it. So, there's a couple examples with larger companies that are doing that, but there's a number of smaller companies, like one or two people or 25 or 300 that do similar things as well, albeit on a smaller scale. So, technology for businesses is a great way to leverage things, get their costs down, get things done quicker, faster, and better, and lower stress.
So it sounds like certainly the application of technology we know has been around for a very long time, but it's really interesting to hear that some businesses are still doing it the old-fashioned way, still paper and old processes. And so it sounds like you've working with Kimberly Clark in the U.S. Navy, you've certainly broken through the code of saying, look, we understand your corporate structure, your corporate understanding of what needs to get done. Let's just show you how to do it more effectively and efficiently.
Exactly, including people, working with, to me, kind of the dread of the Excel spreadsheet. People can do some incredible stuff with Excel spreadsheet, but then it can get to be a real mess, and multiple people using it and using it on the network, and stuff blowing up and it not working right, and then changes that aren't getting saved, and it just, that's a great sign that, you've outgrown it and it's time for a more robust system like we build, which is with like an intranet and web pages and databases, and get all the data you want, people be able to enter in information and get the results that you're needing and looking for. So, arguably we're able to, build the systems that are able to do those kind of ways to take businesses higher and farther. And like you mentioned and addressed, there's a lot of different strategies and things that businesses need to do to be able to stay relevant and stay successful and stay, cash flow positive.
Absolutely. I think we're good. I think we're good for our first broadcast. Well, hopefully this has been of interest and of value to our listeners.
I agree too. I appreciate your time, Lucy. Thanks so much for joining me, and I do too. And I look forward to future episodes. Hopefully, I think it's one great, a lot of fun. Hope it worked great for the viewers out there as well too. If you've got any questions, comments, criticisms, if you've got compliments, just send them to Lucy, or if you got criticisms, just send them to me or whatever. That's simple enough. But
we look forward to hearing those problems into profits.
Do what?
Let's go turn those problems into profits.
Exactly. Well, I mean, as far as criticism with our show, if they don't like it, send the criticism about the show to me. But yeah, we look forward to future episodes, and I think you've got a little bit of an idea from the show what our backgrounds are and what we're capable of, and insights into what we've done. But tell us. What would you like to hear? Because I think we both would love to hear what you'd like to hear and what you'd like to know, and I would expect more than not we'd be real responsive to that and like to get them in future ones. So look forward to hearing from you on that. So in the meantime, I'm Chris Conley, CEO of C Solutions. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great day. And Lucy, I imagine you're thinking the same.
I'm Lucy Hoger of Lucy Hoger Consulting, and just have a terrific day.
Hey, thank you so much, and have a good one. Thanks, guys.